What is up, ladies and gentlemen? You're watching another Madman film breakdown right here on the Madman Sports Network. We're talking about a player I'm pretty excited to talk about, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the defensive back out of Alabama. One of the most versatile players in this draft. A modern-day player, really, when it comes to the way coaches are learning how to utilize these hybrid safety, corner, linebacker type players. And I'm going to show you why he's being considered a top 5 pick. Now, spoiler alert, I'm not quite as high on him as everybody else is, based on a few different things, whether it be my philosophy of how you build a football team, and just some things that I noticed, and we'll get to those as well, some of the weaknesses. But that doesn't change the fact that a smart coach who gets their hands on Minkah Fitzpatrick will be able to terrorize defenses with him, and it's for a few reasons. And the first is his instincts and play recognition. And I'm trying to make these shorter. I really wish I could show you more, but for now I'm just going to show you a few. And this first one is so impressive right here. So watch, the play starts, and take a look. There he is right there, Fitzpatrick. Now notice right away, look at this. He's already making his break. Here's the quarterback, Kelly Bryant. He's going to throw to number 21 here. Notice how far ahead Fitzpatrick is than all these other players, how he's already running for 21. Fitzpatrick, the ball hasn't even left his hands yet, and already Fitzpatrick knew who the ball was going to. That's just excellent play recognition. Now, he doesn't make the tackle. He ends up catching a block, but he does throw the pass off and forces 21 around now and ends up causing a loss anyway. That is just phenomenal play recognition, phenomenal instincts, and, you know, if he made the tackle, it would have been even better, but still caused a loss. Now, here's another one. You'll notice him right out here. Ball snapped again. Notice already the ball is being thrown, and Fitzpatrick is already pursuing this ball carrier. He just knows exactly where it was going to be. He's keeping his eye on the quarterback, and we'll get to it. He's phenomenal in coverage, and his ability really to keep his eye on the quarterback while also being a very good cover corner is what makes him so special. And here he goes again. Again, gets blocked, doesn't make the tackle. We'll talk about that more, but does force a change of direction for the receiver. Running back ends up only gaining a few yards. And now here's one more, and again, ball leaving the hands. There's Fitzpatrick. Notice already he's making his chase towards this, running back right here. These two players, they are just noticing what's happening as the ball's leaving the quarterback's hands. Fitzpatrick is already gaining full speed, and what do you know? Even though some other players were closer, he's the first one there, and this time he wraps up and makes the tackles. When you just have, this is just proof that A, he's well coached, he's a coachable player, he studies the film, and that he's able to process multiple things going on the field at the same time. Very impressive for such a young player. So now, combined with his instincts, Minkah Fitzpatrick is very good in coverage, very good in man coverage specifically, and actually very good in zone coverage as well. Really good play recognition, as I already pointed out. It was kind of hard to find how he does when it comes to his ball skills, because he just didn't get thrown at very often. I watched 4 of his games, all the plays and everything, and he only got thrown at 4 times, or only gave up 4 catches, I should say. They were all pretty short, only gave up probably a total of about 50 yards. I'm really guesstimating based on what I saw, including that one catch you'll see here that's just a phenomenal throw anyway. But you can see how good he is in coverage, albeit it might have been exaggerated a little bit because of how good the pass rush is, but still, that doesn't change the fact of some of these. So watch this first one right here. There's Fitzpatrick. This is his assignment right there. Watch the way he just kind of follows him here, and watch as the receiver starts to turn upfield. Watch as Fitzpatrick just follows him right there, turning his feet at the same time, doesn't get faked out by it. Obviously, Bryant ends up never getting the ball to that receiver. That's just good. A good job of kind of having good leverage there, preventing that, and turning upfield right away, keeping his eyes. Notice too, though, how he's still keeping his eyes on the quarterback. He's doing both. Even though he has his eyes on the quarterback, he still is able to just sense when the receiver starts to make his break, and obviously doesn't give up a big catch there. So here's another one right here. This is going to be Fitzpatrick. Here's his assignment. And notice here the way, again, he kind of backs away, kind of keeps his eye, nose, and the second the receiver makes the break, he's following him. He's in very good position there. Now, obviously, a perfectly thrown ball, and maybe that receiver makes that catch. That's just going to happen sometimes. He doesn't give up the catch, though. Quarterback doesn't even want to go to him. He really just followed that route receiver perfectly, didn't give him a lot of space, and also he sees that he has the help there, too. So he understands that this is really the area of the field he should be more worried about, because he has this safety help right here, and still manages to follow him on the break. That's some pretty good coverage right there. Here's another one right here. Now watch. Good recognition, good pickup. So here's him. Here's Fitzpatrick right here. There's his assignment. So he sees this is taken care of. Quickly takes care of number 13 right here. Follows him. 13 starts to make his break. Notice the way Fitzpatrick goes from running back. Doesn't really even have his eyes turned towards the QB. Then now gets his eyes turned towards the ball. Does a really good job of tracking it. And this is that's that catch I was talking about. Look how perfect. That's a perfect throw. That's very good coverage. Again, that's not necessarily elite NFL cornerback coverage. NFL cornerback, somebody like Jalen Ramsey or Richard Sherman, like somebody like that will probably break that pass up. Of course they will. They're a professional. But for a young college player, the ability to recognize who he was responsible for right away, and I swear I never saw him look confused out there. There were so many more plays I wish I could just show you, and I will. A few more where just immediately he knew exactly who he was responsible for. Really, everyone did. This is a very well-coached team in general, but that's going to take him a long way. Turns his body right at the right time, and that ball had to be thrown perfectly for it to be caught. That's some very good coverage, not perfect coverage. That's some solid A- coverage right there. Ends up giving up still a pretty short catch. Nothing crazy. So here's another one right here. There he is. And this is another one. Now notice this right off the bat. He turns the wrong way, and this receiver's about to have him beat. It looks like this is some bad coverage. But notice, the way he turns quickly and starts to follow him. And as we go further, notice right there, I'm going to go back just a little bit. There's the safety right there. You can see him. And that explains why Fitzpatrick kind of turns his body this way. He's getting ready for a deep, out route. Not an out route, like a deep, outside post route. I'll call it that. Football fanatics or people who have actually coached will crucify me for not knowing what this route is called. But he knows he has the safety help. So even though he got kind of beat to the inside, he knows he can afford that. So that's just good understanding of what's going on behind him, good understanding of what part of the field he's really responsible for covering, and he still manages to kind of turn his body smoothly, even though, again, this receiver kind of faked him out with that little move. He's got his back to him. That could really be beaten, but he turns quickly, continues to stay in stride, doesn't really break it. Again, some very good coverage on that play. Here's another one right here. You'll see Fitzpatrick here, and again, just watch as he kind of follows. And it feels like he just knows exactly where this receiver is going. You cannot get the ball to this receiver, especially with that safety back there, but even not, unless you throw a perfectly thrown ball. Fitzpatrick is just going stride for stride for him, just making that receiver's life very annoying. Now, here's the final play right here. Now, again, I did say he gave up a few catches, but so notice on a play like this. He does give up this catch, I'll show you. But notice his closing. Notice there he is right there. He keeps his eye on the quarterback. Right as the ball is being thrown, he's already going to start chasing this receiver, and he closes in and makes the tackle. So even when he does give up a catch, he's always, every single time he gave up a catch, he was at least in good position from the 4 games I watched to make the stop and prevent something. So again, yes, he's going to occasionally, especially when he plays kind of this off, softer coverage, which he tends to do every now and then, he's going to get beat. They're preventing a deep pass, but he still manages to stop him and only give up about a 12-yard gain, which again, it's not like it's a great play by Fitzpatrick. I'm not, going to sit here and, crown him king for giving up 12 yards, but at least when he does give up, he recovers quickly and makes the stop. But what makes Fitzpatrick so special, I said it at the beginning of the video, is the fact that you can really just line him up anywhere on the field, disguise him in different ways. You can line him up as a linebacker, you can line him up as a slot corner, line him up as an outside corner, line him up as a safety. He really has just the football intelligence, football IQ, as well as the athleticism to line up really anywhere on the field. So notice this right here. I'll show you just a few. Here he is lined up kind of as an inside backer. Looks like he's going to come in for the blitz. Really, that's what this play says. Ball snap. Notice the second the ball snap, notice this. He starts running. He's actually responsible for this wide receiver right here. Because they trust him so much with his athleticism, they can line him up like that and still depend on him to not give up a big gain. Now, the ball ended up being handed off, so really it would have been better if he stayed in the box. But based on the way the play was designed, somebody needed to cover this third receiver, and that just ended up being a good play call by Georgia as well. But the fact that they still trust him to go from here to cover this receiver just shows how athletic, especially a great coach like Nick Saban. Nick Saban wouldn't trust him to do something like that if he knew he didn't have the skills to make that recovery. Same with this next play right here. Look, he's lined up all the way over here, again, looking like he's going to come in for another blitz. And then right as the ball is snapped, perfectly times it as well. He sees right when the ball is snapped, and he starts running over here, and now he's responsible for this receiver. Now, if it was thrown at the perfect time, he could have gotten broke, but notice you see there, you can kind of only see a little bit. I don't have the all-22. You see the way, though, he quickly changed his direction as well, and ball doesn't get thrown in his direction anyway. Ball gets thrown somewhere else, and he's fine. Here's another one right here. Look at it here. You have this safety back here, this corner, and then I assume there, oh yes, and then this corner right here. There we go. Kind of tough to see with how bright this one is. So you assume that boom, 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 responsible for boom, receiver, receiver, receiver right here, and that Fitzpatrick, who's right here, is going to come in on the blitz. Right as the ball is snapped, notice the way he shifts. This receiver ends up going back, so this safety, ends up going back there, and he ends up covering this receiver with really good ease, completely takes that receiver out. Now, that ended up still being a huge play by Georgia. They ended up finding it for somebody else. But the way you were able to just line up Fitzpatrick, again, just disguising him, you can confuse offenses with a player like Fitzpatrick. He is becoming, again, a player like him. Players like him are becoming the future of the NFL. So here's another one, and again, here he is lined up as like an inside backer. Notice right here, he's kind of lined up. I believe this is supposed to be his zone. Again, I don't have the all-22. I can't see what everybody does. But based on what he's doing right now, it looks like he's just responsible for the middle of the field, kind of the short underneath zone coverage. Notice right as the ball is leaving the quarterback's hands, though, now he's able to come in and make this stop. And that's just, again, the athleticism, the instincts. But you can line him up and have him responsible for the middle of the field if you don't want him to be in man coverage. That's just how talented he is, and he knows. He waits for the perfect opportunity to make his break and ends up making a stop here. Really nice play. Now here's a final one. Now again, you just saw all those plays. Now just based on those, you're just assuming when he lines up here that he's probably going to end up being in coverage. They're probably sending some sort of, tricky blitz. Not this time. He times it perfectly, and he comes in and disrupts the pass. Now it still ends up being a nice little game. Good job by the quarterback, honestly, to recognize that. Although it was kind of just blatantly in his face. But still, because of how much you can disguise Fitzpatrick, make him look like he's blitzing, and then end up sending him out in coverage, you can do the same thing. And sometimes, especially the quarterbacks who just aren't quite as experienced, the ones who aren't quite as good at watching the film, they'll never really know what Fitzpatrick is doing. And that's what makes him such a dynamic playmaker. So although he possesses so many of these rare traits, and that's really what makes him such a premier prospect, he sometimes, whether it's angles, whether it just seems like almost just willingness to stay away from it, suffers when it comes to just making tackles when he's in the right position. So I'll just show you a few plays here, and this is why I can't take him in the top, justify taking him in the top 5 when there are some really good pass rushers and such. So here's the first play right here. There he is. He has this running back right here. He can dive, he can go for him. And instead, he kind of just whiffs, completely misses. Now he gets his leg, but really it's these other defenders that got him. I know it's not much, and the other ones get worse, but the fact that he's just kind of behind and just kind of dives down and really lets everyone else take care of it, I would expect a top 5 prospect to get in there sooner, get the right angle, stop him behind the line of scrimmage instead of letting that happen. So here's another one right here. You'll see this one's bad. It's 3rd and 20 in the national championship against Georgia. And you'll see there he is right there. There's Fitzpatrick. He sees him cutting to the outside. He sees he has these 2 defenders here. A player as smart as him should know he can start taking this angle up here in case these 2 defenders miss, cut him off. Instead, he kind of just jogs. Michelle ends up staying in bounds, and he keeps going, and he picks up the first down. That is absolutely unacceptable for an Alabama superstar defensive back in the national championship at a point I'm sure where it was either early in the game or it was at no point was Alabama dominating this game. It'd be one thing if they were up. In so many of these games, I get it, they were up 31-0. But when you're in the national championship, you cannot do that. Look at the way he just leisurely jogs. That's not a top 5 pick, a player who does that. So here's another one. You'll see he has so the ball is passed right to this running back here. And again, he just, at least this time the effort was there, but he just whiffs. Just completely misses. Now, other defenders end up stopping him, so that time he makes the stop. And you even saw in some of those plays where I was showing his instincts. That's another one. Good instincts, good ability to find it, but so many times, it's like, if you're going to be in the right position, what's the point if you can't make the stop? So here's another one. Ball is snapped. There's Fitzpatrick. He has plenty of time to catch up and get in front of this running back and force him in one or the other direction. And instead, again, look at him. He just kind of waits. He just kind of waits and leisurely gets there, and suddenly now he's behind, and he lets his other teammates take care of it. Where is the physicality? Where is the enforcement? If you're going to be a hybrid linebacker, safety, or corner or whatever in the NFL, you've got to be willing to make a tackle like that. Because if he can't, then he goes from being a rare, super rare, one-of-a-kind prospect to a good cover corner, which there are a couple of there are plenty of, not plenty, but there's a decent handful of good cover corners in this draft. And if we're just judging him based on his pure coverage ability, he's good. But he's not worth any of the top 5 pass rushers, or any of the top 3-4 defensive tackles, or any of the top 3-4 quarterbacks, or even any of the top 1-2, definitely not any of the top 5, 6, 7 linemen. if he's not going to add that physical factor, because then you can't really line him up as a linebacker in the NFL if he's not going to be in there in the trenches and be willing to put his body on the line to make stops like that. That's what football's about. So here's another one. Look, clean lane to the quarterback and just whips. You cannot let that happen, because in the NFL, that's not going to be Kelly Bryant. That's going to be Aaron Rodgers, or that's going to be Russell Wilson. And if you let Kelly Bryant just make you look like a fool like that, then Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson or, anyone like that, they're going to make you look like a fool. You only get so many clean lanes to the quarterback in the NFL, and you need to capitalize. And that's just a soft arm tackle. Again, I know I sound harsh, especially coming from some dude sitting in his room while this guy has worked his whole life. Let me be very clear, he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal athlete. But when I consistently see him getting taken in the top 5, if you're going to be a defensive back taken in the top 5, you need to be darn near perfect. And you can't be whipping on this many plays. This is only from 4 games worth of film, by the way. And these are against the better teams. And they're only going to get better in the NFL. So here's another one. There he is right there. This is with 10 seconds left. So they're really just trying to prevent plays. Ball is passed. And again, he has a chance to cut up field, try and stop this defender, and it seems like suddenly when he has a chance to make a tackle, he just slows down. And again, just lets his other defenders, if he had gotten the right angle sooner, he could have stopped him before. Now again, didn't really make a difference, still gave up, but still, why is it that he's one of the last ones getting in on that play? And now here's the last one. This one isn't necessarily a tackling, but look at here, this tight end has him, and notice the way that tight end just takes him completely out of the play. Now, there were some plays where he gets the momentum and he goes to pass rush, and he actually held his own pretty well against linemen. I didn't feel like showing you just 7 plays of that. Go watch the film for yourself if you want to see it. It's pretty impressive. But here, even when he kind of has the ability, if he could disengage here and maybe make a stop, this player ends up coming in and taking care of it. He gets completely taken out of the play. So, again, he's great. He's a top first round, maybe early second round level prospect in my opinion. I'm not trying to be harsh, but that's not what I'm about. I believe there are so many players in this draft. I see people pointing out so many unnecessary weaknesses and everything like that. But if you're going to be touted as a top 5 pick, especially in a draft that is heavy in good-looking left tackles, heavy in quarterbacks, heavy in running backs as well, although I'm not really a running back guy, as you know, and you're going to tell me that this guy is a top 5 pick over a few of the really talented linemen, really talented linebackers, and things like that, then he better be perfect, and he can't just make this many misses, and that's why I'm lower on him. That's why, again, I see him possibly even, or personally, I would take him later in the first round. I would love to see him go to a team like Seattle or a team like Minnesota or something like that, where they could just find a way to plug him in and continue to add depth to their defenses. And I feel like in a team like Cleveland, you can end up seeing him not being used properly and missing a lot of tackles early. So I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just being realistic that if you're going to be touted as this high of a prospect, you need to be better when it comes to your physical presence, especially in the NFL. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BSUL21. Follow us on Twitter at DMadmanSports. Again, I have a late first, early second round grade on Fitzpatrick. A little lower on him than a lot of analysts who have him as a top 10 talent. I believe he will get taken in the top 10. And again, he's very talented, and I think with the right coaching staff, he will be an absolute star in the NFL. Do not get me wrong, especially if he ends up in the right hands. But if he doesn't fix that tackling, he will go from being a star to just a very good defensive back. And bad coaching can ruin really just about anything. So I really hope he ends up on the right team. The right coach will be able to utilize him so well to just confuse defenses, confuse quarterbacks, even the best, because there are so many different things he can do on the football field. And he really does have a very high level of football IQ. So I know I just spent about 6 minutes trashing his tackling abilities. That does not change the fact that he has a very rare combination of athleticism, of football IQ, and of just versatility on the football field. So again, I'll take him in the late first round if you ask me. Some people will take him earlier, and I could be proven wrong if he ends up with the right coaching staff who utilizes him right, especially if it turns out that he gets more physical as he gets to the league, maybe packs on some weight or things like that. Thanks again, guys. I'll have another one of these coming for you pretty soon.